Well, good afternoon. We are going to start this session dedicated to study, research and innovate in Europe 2021-27, the collaboration between Portugal and France. We'll have the presentation of several projects which illustrate the high-level collaboration between Portugal and France on higher education, research and innovation fields at European level. We want to reinforce this collaboration in the period 2021-27 under the different European funding programs on research, innovation, higher education, digital and space policy areas. So a big welcome to all the panelists in this session, and in particular Bouquet from the French Minister of Higher Education and Science, who will co-moderate this session with me. So we only have now like 80 minutes ahead of us. I thank all the panelists being here today and to have the time to make a short presentation of their projects, which illustrate the vibrant collaboration that already exists between Portugal and France at EU level. But we want more and expect the multiplication of this collaboration in the period 2021-27. So I will start with Luísa Carvalho, from the Centro de Neurociências e Biologia, Celular, Departamento de Ciências da Vida, da Universidade de Coimbra. Luísa Carvalho, she's going to present us a project where the collaboration between Portugal and France is there. She will present the project and will enhance the part of the collaboration between Portugal and France. So, Luísa, you have like 7 minutes to make this presentation, and then one question will be put for you, okay? Thank you. Please, go ahead.
Okay, so good afternoon, and thank you for this opportunity to present this project. So this is an innovative training network project funded within the Horizon 2020 European Commission program in the Marie Curie actions. And the title of the project is Symptopsy, Synaptic Dysfunction in Neuropsychiatric Disorders. And as you just mentioned, it's a collaborative project, a consortium project with the participation of 2 institutes and 2 universities in France. Okay, so to move forward. So I'm trying to move forward my slides. Okay. Okay, so what are these innovative training networks within the Marie Curie actions? So actually the objective of these networks is to train creative, entrepreneurial and innovative early stage researchers and to provide them with skills that match both the public and the private sector needs. So the objective is for excellence in research, but also in the early stage researcher training. So this is an ongoing project that started in 2019, and we've recruited 14 early stage researchers to develop collaborative projects between participating laboratories in this project with the aim of producing 14 PhD theses in the end of the project. And so actually the project is aimed towards stratified medicine for neuropsychiatric disorders. So as I'm sure you're all aware, neuropsychiatric disorders represent one of the greatest medical challenges of this century, and the advances in the prevention and treatment of these disorders have been hampered by the limited understanding of the causes of disease and of disease pathogenesis. And these disorders have traditionally been diagnosed and treated based on clusters of symptoms, which are highly heterogeneous in the affected individuals. And so there is the need to establish research that can improve our understanding of the abnormal neuronal processes that underlie these diseases towards defining subgroups of patients based on genetic, imaging, or neurophysiological characteristics, rather than this absolute reliance on clinical symptoms. And so this stratified medicine for neuropsychiatric disorders can improve diagnosis advances in treatment, but for better understanding, better understanding of the neural causes of disease is required. And this is precisely the contribution of this project, Seen to Psy. And so recent efforts have actually led to an expansion on discovery of genes, susceptibility genes associated with these diseases, and revealed some of the biological pathways that are implicated. And some of these pathways regulate the development of synapses, which are the sites of communication between neurons, which are here depicted. So many proteins involved in this communication between two neurons have their genes affected in neuropsychiatric disorders. And so the focus of Psy is precisely on combining the identification of defects in synaptic proteins associated with disease with the understanding of the circuit mechanisms that are responsible for disease physiology. And so, as I said, it's a consortium project. There are several participant institutions. It is led by the Center for Neuroscience and Cell Biology at the University of Coimbra. There's the participation of the Bordeaux Neurocampus at the University of Bordeaux, and also of the Institut de Biologie Parisienne at the Sorbonne University, and other universities in Europe. And also, importantly, there's the participation of the pharmaceutical company Lundbeck in Denmark. So besides the participants, there's an organization that goes to the training project and also to the dissemination and communication aspects. So there's the participation of the Zeiss microscopy company, also of the neurodevelopmental unit at the university hospitals in Coimbra, and of the CI company for clinical trials. For the dissemination and communication activities of the project, we counted the participation of PIN, Progressive Until, which is a private medical clinic in Lisbon, which is devoted to the treatment of children with neurodevelopmental disorders and provides us the connection with the patient associations. And there's also the participation of the Marionette Theatre Company. And so there's many researchers involved, including these three researchers at the University of Bordeaux and one researcher from the Sorbonne University. And we've recruited a group of 14 early-stage researchers who are from a diverse scientific background. So it's a diversified international group of students. So the rationale and work packages of the project include not only the scientific driven work packages, but also the training and PhD preparation and the dissemination and communication aspects of the project. So for the training and PhD program, the students count not only on their local training, but also on schools organized at the network level, such as these 4 different schools that we are organizing, and which take advantage of the different skills and know-how in the consortium participants. There's also yearly held online PhD days in which all the students get the opportunity to present their work and to get feedback from all researchers in the project. So because all the projects that these early stage researchers are developing are collaborative projects between different laboratories, this allows for expanding the students' international and intersectoral training, and also for them to build networks for their future careers. We take special care in the personal career development plan of the students that they devise together with their supervisor, and that concerns not only their doctoral training and research activity, but also their outreach experience and their plans for career development after the project finishes. And the students also get professional advice in what relates to career development. So the dissemination and communication aspects of the project are also quite relevant. So we aim to communicate to the general public and in particular to young publics. And there's different activities, like for example, this video series, Simple Side, that is produced by every student. So each student produces a video on their research project that is available in the website for the project that explains the aims of the project to the lay public. The students have also got together and are writing papers for Frontiers for Young Minds, which is a journal dedicated to producing articles that can be understood by the young public. So in this case, they're writing articles on the particular topics of their research and on neuropsychiatric disorders.
Sorry, you have 1 minute. Please.
I'm almost finished. Thank you. So also part of the dissemination and communication part of the project is the writing of the script of a play on the activities of Synthopsy. So the students are writing the script and they will perform this play together with the Marionette, which is a theater company based in Coimbra that has dedicated a lot of their efforts to understanding scientific activities and how they are developed. And so this will be one of the final activities of the project. And so in general, the goals of this project are through these consortium activities to produce high quality science with societal impact that can advance knowledge in the field of neuropsychiatric disorders. We also aim for excellence in training, both academic and intersectoral training, for communication with the diverse audiences. Students will obtain a PhD at the end of the project, and will have built a professional network that will allow them to be well positioned for their future careers. And thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for this presentation, and congratulations on obtaining a doctoral training network, because they are very popular and very competitive. So I will have a question maybe about how it started, how the idea of setting up such a network initiated, and how you decided to choose your French partners. Did you have pre-existing collaborations in terms of training, or rather in terms of research? Because it's a bit kind of project which is a bit of both. So how did you initiate the collaboration with your French partners?
Previous collaborations with the groups in Bordeaux that were critical for setting up the project. So we were very much working on, synaptic transmission, synaptic function, how neurons communicate. And we have these common interests with the people in Bordeaux, with the groups that we were already collaborating with. And so from those collaborations came the idea of setting up a larger consortia to tackle these broader questions on how the physiological processes that we were studying could go wrong in neuropsychiatric disorders. And so actually I think the collaborations with the French groups were crucial for the inception of the idea of this project. And then we brought along the group in Paris, so Catalina Betancourt, working in Sorbonne Université, because she has a very strong know-how in the genetics part of these disorders. So in fact, I think both universities in France had a major role in the initial conception of this project, and of course in the development of the project. But it came from the scientific collaborations, not so much from the training part. We put together the training part from the scientific component of the project.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you, Ana Luísa Carvalho. And now we move to Dina Lopes, International Projects Director at Consulai, and she's going to present interesting projects on the agri-food area.
So, good afternoon. I don't know if everyone is, can I just... Ok. Eu vou falar em português, porque estamos em Portugal e é um encontro Portugal-França e, portanto, pensei que talvez fosse bom também apresentar em português. Eu vou falar um pouco de projetos de investigação e desenvolvimento nos setores agroalimentar e florestal. A Consulai é uma empresa de consultoria que já tem 20 anos a trabalhar nesta área e que tem um trabalho muito forte com os agricultores portugueses e também nos últimos anos tem desenvolvido de facto muitas parcerias nestes setores com outros países da Europa e nomeadamente com França. Se puderem passar o próximo slide. Obrigada. O nosso trabalho nestes projetos a nível internacional, de facto, começou com o programa Horizonte 2020, o programa financeiro de inovação da União Europeia, e que decorreu de 2014 a 2020, e de facto com uma série de projetos e com uma série de temas a nível do agroalimentar e do florestal. Os temas principais durante estes anos foram a Sustainable Food Security, Rural Renaissance e a Food and Natural Resources. A Consolai participou pela primeira vez neste programa como parceira de consórcios em 2017 e teve uma grande atividade em candidaturas durante os anos de 2018, 2019 e 2020. Temos atualmente a decorrer 11 projetos H2020 aprovados. Obrigada. 11 projetos H2020 aprovados, 3 deles coordenados por parceiros franceses, e temos também um projeto do Green Deal também aprovado, que está ainda em fase de redação do Grant Agreement, coordenado pelo INRAE. Grosso modo, estes principais projetos de que falámos, todos os consórcios Horizonte 2020 em que estamos envolvidos têm parceiros franceses, nomeadamente institutos de investigação, mas também explorações agrícolas, empresas agrícolas e também associações do setor. Os 3 principais de que vou falar são de facto coordenados por entidades francesas. Um deles é o Y2 Connect. É um projeto que portanto, começou em maio de 2019 e entrou no tema RUR 16-2019, Fueling the Potential of Advisors for Innovation. Este projeto é coordenado pela APCA, que é a Instance Nationale des Chambres d'Agriculture francesa, e pretende conectar diferentes consultores agrícolas ou entidades que trabalhem na parte do aconselhamento agrícola para impulsionar a inovação interativa na agricultura e na silvicultura. E, de facto, é um projeto a 5 anos, portanto, como disse, começou em maio de 2019, com 42 organizações, tem 24 parceiros e 18 third parties, e de 21 países diferentes. Portanto, temos aqui um consórcio muito representativo do setor a nível europeu. A Consolai, temos aqui o website, portanto, se quiserem saber mais sobre este projeto, podem sempre visitar o nosso website, e a Consolai é co-líder do pacote de trabalho da comunicação e disseminação de resultados do projeto. Depois temos o IPM Works. O IPM foi uma candidatura apresentada no âmbito do SFF 06-2020, Stepping Up Integrated Pest Management, e é uma rede agrícola à escala da União Europeia que pretende demonstrar e promover estratégias de proteção integrada de pragas e doenças na agricultura. De facto, a ideia é que se diminua a utilização de pesticidas e que as explorações agrícolas possam, de facto, ter uma abordagem mais holística à questão das pragas e doenças existentes. O coordenador deste projeto é o INRAE, o Institut National de Recherche pour l'Agriculture, l'Alimentation et l'Environnement, francês, e temos também o website que poderão visitar se quiserem saber mais sobre este projeto. É um projeto a 4 anos, que teve início em maio de 2020, tem 31 parceiros de 16 países europeus, e a Consolai lidera, mais uma vez, está muito envolvida na parte da comunicação e disseminação de resultados, mas temos também a coordenação de 2 hubs, um a nível da viticultura, com viticultores portugueses, e outro a nível da horticultura, com empresas de horticultura a nível nacional. Depois temos o Intact, é um projeto muito recente que começou agora em junho de 2021. É um projeto que foi apresentado no âmbito do FNR 05-2020, Husbandry for Quality and Sustainability, e é um projeto que pretende desenvolver ferramentas inovadoras para a avaliação e autenticação das qualidades da carne de frango, bovino e produtos lácteos. E é também coordenado pelo INRAE. É um projeto a 5 anos, portanto o website e a própria imagem ou a imagem corporativa, digamos assim, do projeto ainda não foi desenvolvida, portanto estamos ainda a iniciar este desenvolvimento. A Consolai lidera o pacote da comunicação e disseminação, e temos 20 parceiros de 10 países europeus. Vai ser um projeto que vai ter uma importância bastante relevante relevante, porque de facto pretendemos desmistificar um pouco a questão dos produtos de origem animal e estabelecer aqui uma ligação entre a qualidade destes produtos e a forma de exploração agrícola, portanto a forma como os animais são explorados ou são produzidos, digamos assim, nas diferentes tipos de explorações. Sim, estou mesmo a acabar. E por último temos um projeto que foi apresentado no âmbito do Green Deal. É um projeto, como eu referi há pouco, ainda está em desenvolvimento, portanto o contrato de bolsa, ou Grant Agreement, e é um projeto, o Green Deal foi um programa que existiu entre o Horizonte 2020 e agora o próximo Horizonte Europa, e que está mais ligado à parte das alterações climáticas e do caminho para uma neutralidade climática. Este é um projeto que pretende que as explorações agrícolas atinjam esta neutralidade climática e, portanto, é um tema muito aliciante e nós ficámos muito, muito contentes quando soubemos que tinha sido aprovado. É um projeto também coordenado pelo INRAE há 4 anos, com 33 parceiros de 15 países europeus, e a Consular lidera o WP de Comunicação e Disseminação, mas tem também um caso de estudo em conjunto com a NutriFarms, que é uma empresa do Grupo Sovena, que, portanto, vai pretender desenvolver esta tipologia de temas no olival nacional. E obrigada pela atenção.
Thank you very much, and congratulations to you too on all these projects, especially the Green Deal project. It was highly competitive,
I know.
So congratulations.
That's why we were so happy when we saw that it was approved.
I noticed that you were in charge of communication and dissemination. And I was wondering if you could tell us a bit about the success factors, what communication and dissemination brings to these projects, and how they can contribute to get the little difference which actually gets you financed.
Mm-hmm. It's true, the Horizon 2020 and the other programs that came afterward, Green Deal and now the Horizon Europe, gives a great importance to the communication and dissemination of results of these projects. And this was something that a couple of years ago was not so relevant in the project, but now the idea is to have the excellence part and the impact part of the project has the same weight. So we have to build a very good work package of communication and dissemination to get the projects approved. I think Consular does well, or at least we try to do that, and I think we have been successful. We started from the farmer's side, or from the practical side, so we are not so involved in the research side. So we have a very practical approach to how to reach farmers, how to reach the target groups that we define in the project. And I think that's why probably the work packages that we have constructed in these projects have been successful, and usually the impact part of these projects have a high score in the work that we have been doing in the last years. And also I understand that even the research institutes, as for example INRAE, they are giving more and more importance to these packages, and they have a very big network. Besides of course the importance of the research area, they have a very big network of stakeholders in the different sides of the sector and in the value chain. So that's really important to have representatives or in the consortium or in the stakeholders that will be involved in the project. So farmers, food industry, retailers and consumers. For example, the Intact project or the Green Deal project, the client farms, will be very important for the consumers and to understand what consumers think about the quality of the animal products or about the sustainability of the farms. And I think that's one of the answers for this.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very
much, Dina, for bringing here the company component for this session. And now I give the floor to Professor Véronique Perdereau. She's the Vice-President for Europe at the Sorbonne University. S'il vous plaît.
Thank you. So I'm not going to talk as a Vice-President now, but I'd like to tell you a story, in fact my story, that started I think in 2004 at that time I had no collaboration with anyone else apart people from my lab, and even not so much. So I was doing good because I became a professor, so I had enough publications, my record was good, but I did not have any anything outside my team, and I felt that that was not enough, and I wanted to progress. So I looked at the possibilities, and this morning our minister talked about partenariat uber-curien. So I started with Spain. I had one, a Picasso program, in 2004 or 5. And then I had another one in 2006 with Portugal. So could you change the slide, please? No? Oh, I have a clicker. Excellent. So in fact, it was in 2007. And to find the proper partner at that time, it was not easy. When you are in your lab, when we are not traveling at all, because I was the mother of 3, I had no opportunities to find partners. And in fact, it's a bit funny how it worked. It was a PhD student from Coimbra who traveled to Toulouse, a city in the south of France, and met another and became a good friend of another PhD student in Toulouse. And that other PhD student, I hired him as associate professor, so he came to Paris. So when I told him about the program I had with Spain, he said, oh, let's go for a program with Portugal, because I have a good friend there. Now the PhD is completed, he's back home. We will contact him. And that's what we did. And we obtained 6,000 euros for travel expenses. It does not look big, but it's already enough to travel and meet. So I think I went twice to Coimbra. I visited the lab. I discussed with colleagues that never met before. And we realized that we could collaborate because we had complementary competencies. On my side, I'm working on robotics. On my side, I was more on planning and controlling motions. And there were more on data processing, human-machine interface. So that was good. We could put each of us something on the table. And then, with further discussions, also with the Spanish partner, I decided that I should think bigger. And I started preparing a European project. And of course, I invited them. And we were successful in 2008. And this team from Coimbra invited another one from Lisbon. So we started this project, the Handle project. I was the coordinator, and in fact, Ella was working with us at that time. And that was a brand new life, I would say, because at that time I had to coordinate a big team, 9 teams from Europe with big budget during 4 years. And that was very friendly, and it opened, for me, for myself, a lot of new directions. And this project ended in 2013, but I'm still working on this topic, and I still have to do to develop some work. And I'm pretty sure that the ideas that I have today are coming from this project. So just to tell you a few words on this project, this was about dexterity for robots. At the time we had simple grippers, opening and closing, and we wanted to make this kind of human-like hand working properly and handling object in the hand, because anytime we use an object, we are doing some nice gestures. So this is the team that we gathered for this project. So there were people from the north, as you can see, and the Spanish and Portuguese partners that were at the origin of the preparation of the project. The other ones came later. In fact, the genesis of this project was here. And we were very happy at the end because this was, I think, the day before the final demonstration to the European Commission. We had this show on Euronews. So that was a great adventure. And in fact, this was not the end of the story, because in this European project from Coimbra, there was a PhD student. He defended the thesis and then went as a lecturer at Aston University and invited me to be part of his project, and I'm now in this running project. And with those people, in particular Técnico Lisboa, we also collaborated for a master program. This was not just about research, but also this master program with other European partners. It is still running. This is about systems for rehabilitation. I know health is one of your priorities. And there are exchanges, mobilities for students. This program is supported by the EIT, that is the European Institute of Innovation and Technology in Health. So there are still strong links between the teams, and I'm pretty sure there will be something coming next.
Okay, thank you very much. Very interesting the way you told your story of this collaboration between Portugal and France. So I would like to ask you, what do you envisage can be the future of this collaboration? And I understood there is a very strong component of the training part on the masters and the PhDs. So if this will be part of the future of the collaboration between Portugal and France, what do you think?
Well, we never know. As I told you already, I've been invited to be part of some other projects. In total, I think I had 14 European projects altogether. So as I'm vice-president of the university, I'm not willing to coordinate a new project, but I still have good relationships with those colleagues in Coimbra and Lisbon. And I think that when an opportunity appears, they will maybe invite me or ask me to invite some other colleagues from my lab.
Absolutely.
In fact, there is another research project presently running in my lab with them and some other colleagues.
Of course,
So
you will
it should continue.
capitalize on the network you already have and for future collaborations.
Sorry?
You will capitalize on the network that you
that's
already
how,
have.
in fact, that's how it works. Yeah, it's like assembling a puzzle progressively, and yeah, capitalization is good work because
yes, from
it's like
Pessoa,
a ball of
you
snow.
enter, yes,
You continue rolling it. Yeah.
very well. Because from a Pessoa program, you then enter into a new phase of EU program, of EU funding program, and then we'll see what the future will bring in this period, 2021 to 2027. Thank you very much.
Keep open to
Great.
any options.
Un grand merci. And with this, we move to João Borges de Souza. Is a researcher at Laboratório de Sistemas e Tecnologias Subaquáticas, Faculdade de Engenharia da Universidade do Porto, and so is going to make a presentation of his project in the next 7 minutes. Please.
is working. Okay, so good afternoon. First of all, I would like to thank you for the kind invitation to be here. It's a pleasure and an honor. And okay, so it was not working. So I'll thank you again for the kind invitation to be here. It's a pleasure and an honor. And before I start, let me just kind of give you sort of an overview of what we do in our lab as a background for what I'll be discussing next. So in our lab at Port University, we've been designing, building, and deploying autonomous underwater surface and air vehicles for networked operations. We've also been developing the software that enables all of these systems to work together as teams. Okay, it would be great if this, okay, sorry. So these are some of our vehicle systems. So we build most of them, but we also acquired a few other ones. These tend to be low cost, modular, long endurance, and most important, they share the software system that allows them to work together as teams. So they are interoperable. In terms of op areas, we've been operating lots of different places in some exotic places, including the Persian Gulf. And we've also been organizing large-scale exercises. We have deployments from shore, from ships, from manned submarines, in cooperation with the Portuguese Navy, and we have over 100 days of operations per year, except last year and in 2021. In 2018, so we had our UAVs did over 4,000 kilometers underwater, and our UAVs did over 200 flights. Now, this provides the background against which I'll describe this project. So I'm the coordinator of this Infraia project. It's a project about infrastructures. So we have 15 partners from 10 different countries, and I would like to highlight the presence here of Ifremer. So it has been a pleasure to work with them. It's been going very well. And let me give you, if I can, a sort of an overview of what we are up to. First of all, the goals. And goals are to open up key national and regional marine robotics research infrastructures to researchers in Europe and worldwide. I'll say more about this next. And also to establish a world-class marine robotics research infrastructure network. 3 types of activities: networking activities, towards a world-class marine robotics research infrastructure. So this has to do with standards, code of practice, etc. Joint research activities, this is kind of more classical. That has to do with the idea of making systems more operable and to transition tools and technologies from the lab to the ocean. And finally, transnational access, in which we provide access to research infrastructures through open calls. Okay, so TNA in action. So keep in mind that we provide access for free to institutions from Europe and other places. And this is done through open calls, competitive open calls. So we have applications from academia, research institutes, industry, and government. And what you see here is just a sketch of locations of institutions that had successful applications to our research infrastructure TNA access. In yellow and green, and in blue, you see locations of the partners. To be more precise here, we had over 50 TNA projects. And because we are talking about France, and we are talking about specifically about Ifremer, 2 examples out of those 50. So high-resolution 3D terrain models of cold water coral habitats in the Venice Canyon. So the provider was Ifremer, you see there, their hybrid ROV, and the end user was CSIC from Spain. Another example, hyperspectral imaging, so scientific payload integration and evaluation on board hybrid ROV. Provider Ifremer, end user in this case, a company from Norway, Ecotone. And some achievements. So what you see there is this is not exhaustive, but pictures of some of our toys. So we have small AUVs, big AUVs, autonomous underwater vehicles, ROVs, remotely operated vehicles, surface vessels, test beds. And in terms of DNA, we had access to robots, but also to integrated experiments. In terms of GRA, and the idea was to making systems more operable. We had developments in multi-vehicle systems, human-robot interactions, launch and recovery systems, vision, networked control, systems integration, etc. We also had some high specialized training activities, the Bouquet and Glider School and the Breaking the Surface event. We had large-scale events. We have worldwide cooperation. Marine robotics community is quite small. And we were also working with other research infrastructures and flagship projects.
You have 1 minute, sorry.
Perfect, last slide. So, lessons learned and future development. This is quite relevant to what we are discussing here. So, trends. The pace of change is accelerating. And ocean robotics is key to future observation and sustainable exploration. Robots extend the footprint of what a ship can do, and we work in the triple helix framework involving academia, industry, and government. But the important thing is that no robot is an island, and we need new models of cooperation and networking. And finally, the power of networking, which is what we've been doing in our network, in our project. Think practical, think big, think sustainable. So address all Atlantic challenges in a coordinated multi-vehicle, multi-continent framework, enable new science on unprecedented spatial and temporal scales. We can do that with the technology that we have. And by doing this, we can basically enable virtuous co-development cycles. And this is pretty much what I had to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this presentation, and it was fairly obvious from your presentation the added value of sharing access to research infrastructure. And it's interesting that also the collaboration now has to be applied to robots as well, not just research teams. So how do you see the future perspectives for this activity? Is your project still ongoing, or?
Yeah, the project is still ongoing. And soon, but we are already working on follow-on projects precisely because, for two main reasons. First of all, is that the project really worked very well. So, and the partnership has been excellent. And I forgot to mention, so from Portugal, there's us from Porto University, but we also have our friends from IST here in Lisbon. So this is one of the reasons. So the project has been going really well. And the other thing is, we think that we can really make an impact, especially in what regards Atlantic-wide ocean observation. And this can only be achieved if you cooperate with other key players in the field, like IFREMER. And at the same time, there's some complementarity, because IFREMER has been basically focused on, of course, operational developments. And in our case, we've also been focused on that, but from the perspective of multi-vehicle operations. So I think there's lots of complementarity there.
Okay, thank you. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. And now, exactly, speaking remotely, Ludovic Tilly de l'Université de Poitiers, je passe en français du coup, qui est vice-président délégué à l'Alliance Université Européenne EC2U et au réseau européen. Bonjour.
Bom dia, bonjour, good afternoon. I hope you can hear me.
Très bien.
Thank you very much for this wonderful opportunity to highlight the cooperation between France and Portugal, and in particular here I will present you two important projects where University of Coimbra and University of Poitiers are strongly cooperating, and as we will see, there is a clear room for future. These two projects are named European Campus of City Universities, EC2U. This is a project that has been selected in the context of the European Universities Initiative, as you will see. And I will also give you some highlights from another very big project entitled Research and Innovation for Cities and Citizens, RI4C2. And again, it is, as you will see, among many partners, a wonderful cooperation, a wonderful success story between University of Coimbra and University of Poitiers. So as I was saying, the EC2U project, European Campus of City University, is an alliance. It's a pilot alliance that has been selected last year in the context of the European Universities Initiative. It's a 3-year Erasmus program project that actually also include research and innovation activities, but is primarily targeted to cooperation in the higher education part of the possible cooperations. This alliance is composed of 7 universities. Poitiers is the French coordinator, and 6 other universities, including Coimbra in Portugal, but also Alexandru Ioan Cuza in Iași in Romania, Friedrich Schiller University in Jena in Germany, University of Pavia in Italy, Salamanca in Spain, and Turku in Finland. Altogether, this alliance of 7 universities, so the EC2U alliance, gathers 162,000 students, about 20,000 staff, including teachers, researchers, and administrative staff. And when we prepared this consortium, we could see that over the past 10 years, the 7 universities among themselves, but also external partners, they basically represent a capacity of more than 600 European projects in all fields, Erasmus, the framework program, and different other types of European projects. When we looked at our capacity to already work together, we identified more than 1,200 joint research articles among the 7 universities, from 2 up to 5 universities from the consortium. Again, during the past decade. And altogether, these 7 universities and the municipalities around, they gather 1.6 million citizens. The reason I'm making a focus on the number of citizens, because as you can see from the title, European Campus of City Universities, we put at the very core of this project the link between the academia with the local stakeholders, and this is in particular seen in the number of associated partners to the alliance. And I will just focus on the Poitiers and Coimbra associated partners. As you will see, there is the city of Poitiers, municipality of Poitiers, but also the local region, Nouvelle-Aquitaine, and we have also some student association, namely ESN in Poitiers, and the CNUS, that is a French agency that deals with the welcoming of the students, but also other important activities such as the European student card. And in Coimbra, there is a sort of a mirror to this associated partnership with the municipality of Coimbra, the Pedro Nunes Institute, that is a local, very important institute gathering experts in transfer of knowledge, also some students association, and there is also the region, Centro Regional, with in particular the Coordination and Development Commission. So you see that all the 7 universities, they are really gathering all the local ecosystem, and we will see later on that it has also a strong impact. What you see here is also what is very important to the Alliance, that is to engage in solving global challenges. And for this, we have identified among the 17 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, 3 that we will start work on during the first phase of this Alliance, the pilot phase. And this is the UN SDG on good health and well-being, the number 3. The SDG on quality education, number 4, and the SDG 11 on sustainable cities and communities. And this will be addressed, and it has actually already started, with the creation of 3 virtual institutes that gather teachers, researchers, innovators, students, the whole community around each of these SDGs. And in particular, regarding the education side, we are going to open next year in September 22, the very first 3 EC2U joint master programs that are interdisciplinary and bring a completely new way of training the students, not in disciplines, but actually more on the challenge-based approach. And indeed, we will have a joint master on health and well-being, one on quality education with a focus on multilingualism and interculturality, and the third one on sustainable cities and communities. And I should mention that this last one is coordinated by the University of Coimbra.
You have a minute.
Also, we have many other activities. We want to create a pan-European campus that is open and accessible to all the communities. So this will be achieved by creating what we call an EC2U mobile application, but also shared new learning spaces, also joint culture and sport events, including for the students. Next September, we will have the very first EC2U science battles to disseminate science. There will be also many other activities regarding the connecting part of the campus to make people connected with different platforms, joint platforms, with the EC2 student card, with open badges and micro-credentials. Well, actually, all these topics are actually very hot on the higher education side in Europe. And also, we will promote this sense of belonging to a single community beyond the alliance by including also the innovation actors with what we call the European talents, with an entrepreneurial academy, also European education connecting lighthouses of European education, and also the European engagement with what we call the EC2 think tanks, the very first think tank that actually are gathering citizens with the researchers, and they discuss together on the hot challenges. And typically what has been already started is discussing on what are the European values, probably also the role of science, especially in the COVID-19 pandemic context, etc. So really we want to connect with the people, not just within academia, but beyond. The last part of my presentation will deal with this additional project, which is called, as I mentioned, Research and Innovation for Cities and Citizens, RI4C2. It is actually a spin-off of EC2U. This is a project that has been selected in an additional call for alliances in the context of the Horizon 2020 Science with and for Society, SWAFS project. It will start this coming September until 24. And again, this is exactly the same consortium with Poitiers as coordinator and Coimbra as a partner among the 7 universities. And here, what we want to achieve is to create a pan-European knowledge ecosystem by gathering around the same table all the local actors of research and innovation, including the SMEs, the startups, the spin-offs, etc., to create value chain for new knowledge creation. And for this, we have created, this slide is a bit busy. I will just tell you that this is the green part on which you need to concentrate. This is the structure of the RR4C2 project. And as we can see, we want to create a joint research and innovation agenda. We want to empower people, and this is the part that is led by Coimbra University, where we want to actually provide new ways of fostering equality and diversity in the careers of the researchers. And we want also to promote new innovation, cooperation, new knowledge ecosystems, etc. So, of course, this is very summarized, but there will be a lot of activities during the next 3 years.
Okay.
So this is the end of my presentation, and maybe just to tell you that there is a lot of things already in preparation. Some have been submitted, and we are waiting for the results, but probably we will discuss this in a minute. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. And thank you so much for bringing the Erasmus Plus component for this debate. I think it was very interesting to see how do you emphasize the academic role with the local stakeholders. So the academia, the role of the academia at regional level is really, really important. And you emphasize that part with the local stakeholders. So if you could elaborate a little more on this connection, and if this is part of the success factors of this collaboration. Thank you.
Well, I would dare to say that it is indeed, I believe, a part of the success factors. Probably one point that needs to be mentioned is the fact that all the 7 universities that are in these two projects, EC2U and RI4C2, are mid-sized universities, basically between 15 and 30,000 students, and they are the only university in a middle-size city. That is usually one of the main education and research innovation location in the region. And therefore, they do have a very strong role in promoting higher education to the citizens, but also as a concentrator of all the talents, including in research and innovation. And of course, a university can only play this role of an engine of the knowledge ecosystem if it has also a very strong component of cooperation with the local policymakers, including the municipalities.
Of course.
So we have indeed placed at the very center of our project and ambition to tighten the link with the municipalities, because they are the very first-hand actor on this link with the university and all the other stakeholders.
Yes. Thank you very much, Ludovic Tilly. So,
thank you.
Hello.
Alors, j'ai le plaisir d'annoncer l'intervenant suivant qui intervient lui aussi à distance. Il s'agit de Raphaël Troncy, donc chercheur à Eurecom à Nice et qui est coordinateur d'un projet Schistera qui s'appelle Simple et dont il va nous parler tout de suite.
Bom dia, good afternoon everybody. Can you see my slides and can you hear me?
Yes, we can, thank you.
Okay, perfect. Thanks for inviting me, and indeed I will present a bit this simple project and this collaboration we have with INESC-TEC as the Portuguese partner. So we have here since the beginning of today a number of European instruments that have been used for funding collaborative projects between France and Portugal, and I think it's the first time we will talk here about the Schistera instrument, which is part of Eranet. So this is this European instrument that enables to fund European projects, but for which in practice the funding agencies are national. So this is the national agencies of each European countries that agree together to fund those projects. So indeed, this project is called Simple, and Simple stands for Countering Creative Information Manipulation with Explainable AI. It was founded as part of the last Schistera call on the topic of explainable artificial intelligence. The project has just started. It has started 2 months ago, and it will last 3 years. And just to give you a rough idea, there are 5 partners from UK, from Czech Republic, from Austria, and then Eurecom from France and INESC-TEC from Portugal. So this is this project, which is yet about, so not only about fake news, but more about information manipulation. So the project objectives are to have requirements to basically use artificial intelligence to detect misinformation, where there is basically information which is manipulated in order to cause harm. We will aim to use knowledge graph as a basis for solving this problem. We want to come with relevant and good models for detecting information manipulation. And the novel angle of this project is that we want to generate creative and engaging explainability and visualization to show to the end users that he has been faced with information manipulation. And we want even to personalize this response to skills of people and their topic affinity. There are two big use cases in this project, which are topics which undoubtedly lead to a large number of misinformation. This is the COVID-19 pandemic, and this is the general topic of climate change that is in the news since many times and will probably be for an even longer period, but that also trigger a lot of misinformation. So I'm just here emphasizing on the role of the two partners, Portugal and France. For Portugal, it is to help us to have good requirements, and in particular interview fact checkers and journalism students to understand what it is a good response to information manipulation. Is to study psychology and personalization research, and in particular how to measure personality traits, but it's also to build creative response and to design them, which are synthetic, appealing, probably based on templates and in compositionals, and to process the Portuguese language, because this is one of the languages we will deal with. While Eurocom will more focus on building knowledge graphs, detecting information manipulation, analyze textual stories, and process French in particular. So this is some examples of many misinformation that may circulate on social media, of course, but also on some outlets. This could be attractive because of the type of headlines which is being put forward. Sometimes this is just plain false and fabricated, and sometimes it's much more subtle and using some propaganda techniques, sometimes just telling one part of the story, but not the whole story in order to give a direction to the audience and propaganda message. And then what we expect to have is this sort of visual storytelling where we bring to the user the multiple angles that we could have on the same story and try to I'm showing just some screenshots and mock-ups of why we explain things at particular moments, why those type of coverage triggered that type of emotions, this sort of thing. So maybe this is the most interesting slide here for this roundtable is why are we collaborating with in this case INESC-ID from Portugal? So the origin of the story is that there is a common community at the beginning. Both the core partners of this project and including the Portuguese partner, we're part of the semantic web ontology engineering community. So we're used to see each other in conferences, organize events together before, scientific events such as workshops and so on. This project was truly interdisciplinary. And this was also what was tempting is that the Portuguese partners have many skills, including psychology of explanations, in this case, computational creativity, and of course, could link with relevant research in basic Portuguese natural language processing, for example. So this heterogeneous skill set was really on demand for this sort of project. We aim to do some responsible research and innovation, which means open science, open source development, sharing data sets, and that was echoing a lot as well with the Portuguese partner, which were on the same line. And one, last but not least, we have also as opportunistic this widening countries policy. So for example, explicitly in the Kistora call, the call was mentioning that to widen participation through Europe, Kistora projects are encouraged to include partners from the so-called widening countries, in which Portugal is in this list. So I'm just putting here the call for reference. So it was both an opportunistic demand, but at the same time, the partner was just fulfilling perfectly the type of skill set that we were looking for. And this is why we are really thrilled to work with Lisboa and with INESC-ID in this project, to help detecting better misinformation. I probably have been a bit shorter than planned, but I'm happy to take now any questions.
Thank you very much. It was a very interesting presentation of a very, unfortunately, a very important subject nowadays. So misinformation, fake news, etc. I understood that perhaps you chose Portugal because it is part of widening countries, but I wonder if you could be so kind and, well, we still have Rafael, right, online?
Yeah, I'm here, yeah.
Ah, you are here somewhere. Okay. No, you are there, okay, you are, okay. I was not watching you, so I was wondering. So I would like to ask you, so what are the success factors of this collaboration with Portugal? So I think that you picked Portugal because it's part of the widening countries, and that was important for this AIR project. But I wonder what are the success factors of this collaboration on this so important issue nowadays for the society? Thank you.
Yeah. So the primary criteria was not that they are part of a widening country. The primary criteria is that they were offering the right skill set that we needed for this project, of course. But the fact that they were part of the also widening country was, in addition, a good thing for us. So in terms of success factors, well, personally, I didn't yet add a project with INESC-ID, but we were already discussing this before this call, because like I said, we were part of the same community and we were networking already together in past conferences. Now, this partner had already a funded project with the UK partner, which is also part of this project, so he has prior experience in working together, and that was natural for us to bring all skill sets together, because at least each partner has a successful prior collaboration with one other partner, and that was natural to put all those together because, again, this was exactly the set of skills that we were needed. Now, what I think was also very positive in terms of success factors is what we have been able to demonstrate this interdisciplinary. And the fact that Portugal was capable of putting all those skills on the table was really, really convincing.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you very much, Rafael. Thank you, and now we move on to Luísa. Luísa is a senior research and member of the executive board of directors at INESC-TEC, and is going to present us the Interconnect project. Thank you, Luísa, please. No, I think that it is fine. You start to talk. Yeah.
It's not, it's working. So good afternoon, everyone, and thank you once again for the invitation. In the next minutes, I will describe the Interconnect project. That is the largest collaborative project ever coordinated by a Portuguese entity. So we are 50 partners for 37 million funding in a topic that has to do with the development of interoperable solutions for smart homes, smart buildings, and smart grids. Why all this smart, let me say? Well, because in fact, as we are moving to a decarbonized energy system, we must understand that renewable energy has its own characteristic. It's available whenever it is, where it is. And so for us to be able to integrate these large amounts of renewable-based electricity, we need to be able to control the whole system in a completely different way. At the same time, the role of the end user is no longer as it used to be. So people are not passive, people want to be a part of it, people have electric vehicles, they want to understand how they can interact with the system. But the issue is always the same. We need to have everyone and all the equipment talking to each other in this ecosystem. And over the last years, we have had several projects working on smart grids and on energy efficiency. but Interconnect intends to take this to another level by defining a set of interoperable solutions that allow each and every actor of the system to enter and to exit, to change equipment, and everything keeps working as it was supposed to. We have some large-scale pilots that I will discuss in a few moments. And of course, I would outline the fact that we have user-centric energy and non-energy services, because the fact that the customers are now involved also brings opportunities for other services that are not really connected to energy. And I have this very small, seems complex, but it isn't. In fact, what we can understand is that the key for us to operate with a lot of renewable generation is that we explore flexibility coming from end users. What is flexibility? Is my ability to change my behavior in a certain moment given a certain incentive. The incentive can be economical, but it can be environmental. We can have a tremendous number of reasons for us to change our behavior. What we are defining here is the platform that allows for each and every actor, and you have here energy retailers, the power plants, the DSOs, so distribution system operators, transmission system operators, and of course the customers. In the end, everyone wants to connect their devices and wants to pay the less money possible, but social responsibility and environment has become a very important factor. And so what we are working on is on defining this interoperability layer that allows all of this to work seamlessly and without any issues. What are the impacts? On the one hand, the deployment and adoption of IoT standards and platforms. So this is the way for us to move to digitalization. Security is also an issue nowadays. Everyone talks about cybersecurity. And of course, cost-effective and sustainable IoT ecosystems. Energy application services and connected devices and appliances, it's something that we feel every time we buy anything, it's able to be connected. So it's something that won't stop. The fact that we all have devices at home that are able to be integrated in an office, so how we can put all of this working together. The fact that users must accept, and this is why demonstrators are so important, because we can design very interesting solutions. If there's no adoption from end users, they don't make any sense. So it's important to have, and we have some co-creation, including the end users to be a part of some of these solutions. The marketplace for these new services in the European Union, and of course the main motum, the increase of the use of renewables and energy efficient. Some of the outputs, in fact, will be solutions and business use cases and standardization. So this is a project that intends to have all of this together, working without any major issues to foster this digitalization. We have the 7 demonstrators. I have outlined here the demonstrator in France, although it's somehow pretty much related, as you will see, with the Portuguese demonstrator. We have several French partners, and what's interesting to see here is that they are spread over the whole value chain of the project. So we have from R&D to consultancy to ICT providers and IoT that can be also considered somehow some manufacturers, and also the strong presence of DSOs and retailers with Neves and Engie. The French consortium, let's say, the whole set of these French partner as a whole has a 4 million euro incentive in the project. So you can see it's quite significant, very similar to the Portuguese one. What is their role? So on the one hand, you have partners that are defining, and INCREA is a very good example of what can be user-centric and co-creation for the support of these energy and non-energy services. They are leading the French demonstrator in Toulon. Then you have Sensinov that develops these energy management systems in buildings, where they have this IoT platform that is actually having a strong collaboration with the Portuguese demonstrator. And this is something that I would like to outline, is that sometimes in these projects, they are collaborative because they have different countries, but each country develops their own solution and it's kept within its country. And in this project, it doesn't happen like that. So you have French companies developing solutions that will be demonstrated and tested in Portugal, and you have solutions that are designed in Portugal that will be tested in France. So it's this sort of, let's say, share of knowledge and of solutions that we think it will be of added value, not only for the project, but for the whole country. Trialogue with IoT and interoperability architectures, and Angie and Enedis as system operators. Their presence is important to define the requirements of the system. And for this, it's complementary to Portugal. I'm almost finishing. Portugal is a country with a large amount of renewable energy coming from our hydro and wind. France has a different electrical system, so you have a lot of nuclear, but also they are fostering to increase the share of renewables. The fact that these systems are so different makes that the solutions that we are developing will be able to grow and to be exploited at the European level because they are complementary. So the system requirement from the French operating system is not necessarily the same as we have in Portugal. And so we think this is very important. And that's it. Thank you.
Wow, thank you very much. I'm very impressed. 50 partners, that's a huge project.
Tough time, yes.
So congratulations. I have maybe two questions. One is, I wondered if there's a cultural component to customer behavior, and if that's one of the dimensions you explore within your project or not. And the other one is more about the success factors of building such a huge consortium. How did you rely on a core team of people and then expand? How did you add the 50 partners to your project?
Yes. Perhaps starting for the second question. It is difficult because these collaborative projects need for everyone to cooperate, and having all these partners cooperating is not easy. For you to see, there are some work packages in this project that are actually bigger than many other H2020 projects. We have work packages with 8 to 10 million euros of funding, so this is something big. I would say that, and this has been an amazing experience for us, but very difficult. We have actually even developed a management tool to support all the interaction between all the partners, because one cannot operate based on Excel worksheets and email. Is completely impossible. It's over 100 emails every day from every partner. So I have a strong team at INESC-TEC that is really focusing on managing the project. And then we have the technical committee and the steering committee, and everyone keeps articulating. Of course, we have our problems. We are at month 20 now, almost half the project. We had a review meeting a few weeks ago. But yes, it's difficult, but we have managed to interact. But the tools were really important. So the fact that we anticipated this and that we developed the tools to give this support to the operation was absolutely fundamental for us to have the success we have had so far. When you mention the end users and cultural issues, if I understood, that's the main reason why we want to have these demonstrators spread in different countries, because people are actually different. And the way they behave towards this subject is really different, because, and we had this experience, if you say to someone that participating in a flexibility service has a 50% discount of electricity by the end of the year, everyone will say yes. But if you explain that that benefit can be of 20 euros for the whole year, there's a lot of people that say, well, for 20 euros, perhaps I'm not available because I want to use everything I can whenever I can. So it's a difficult question, but the fact is that this ground of having different culture allows us to have a solution that is exploitable EU-wide and not necessarily to one very specific country. That is the main objective of the project.
Thank you very much. And now we move to the last speaker. She is Lia Domingues. She's from the Association des Diplômés Portugais en France. And she's going to present the main conclusions, outcomes from this session, bearing in mind the role of AGAF in the promotion of these collaborative dynamics. So, Lia, please, the floor is yours for the next, 4 minutes. Thank you very much.
It's okay. Thank you very much. So I'd like to start by thanking the organization for the opportunity to close this session and to congratulate you all for the organization of this event and for all the speakers today, because your projects are great, or even your personal experience, and it's very motivating to see that there are a lot of projects in consortia between both countries. So if I had to take make lessons or to take lessons from here, I will start by the keywords that I mostly heard today, which was networking and added value, making partnerships with partners that you already know, but that will bring something new for your consortia. Also, the feeling that I have is that the language is not really an issue, and that in fact science can be very neutral, and that can be a field where you can discuss and bring together ideas and innovation, which is also very important in all of your projects. And I have to say that I was very happy to see that all of your projects have a big impact, whether in career development or early career researchers, or even in infrastructures or the development of collaboration, or in this last case, the interaction among cities and among companies. And so this is very important. And also what I have to say is that when I hear all of your presentations is that there's also the component research and academia, but also the very important partners that you all have, which are companies, and that can have also put a big impact on your projects. So I have to say that it was really important to hear the word capitalization, not only for the resources, or mostly also, as I have to say, for the human resources, that because all of the consortia are also made of people. So that is great. And the word that I also heard a lot, which was scientific cooperation. So if I have to make a link between all of your projects and actually what our association does, it has a lot to do with networking. So we provide network for our members. We provide also a sort of umbrella where our members can also develop projects that will help them capitalize on their professional career, but also on their personal development. And so this is what I have, is the link, the most important word that I heard today, and that also brings the link with what the association is doing for the Portuguese researchers that are also here, although our members are not only researchers. So
thank you, Lia. I think that we are very short on our time.
It's good, it's no problem. So just to say that our association makes the link between the Portuguese researchers that I hear, but also with the stakeholders, both French and Portuguese. And FCT is one of those, and we are very happy to be able to collaborate with both the Portuguese and French entities.
Thank you so much, Lia. Very useful.
Thank you.
And I think that one of the most important of this session is really network, and that language is not a barrier, even because we all speak European English very well. So I think that it was very interesting, this session. We have to close. Ella?
Merci.
Un grand merci.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the invitation, and to all the speakers for your wonderful projects. Congratulations.
Thank to all the panelists, remote, and that are here as well. Thank you very much.